What's up guys, it's that Panda guy and I'm here again with another video. And I know in my last video I actually mentioned that I'd be testing this out where I do a four-way screen thing. I do want to say I'm actually running 6 screens or 6 accounts. I don't know why I said screens. I'm running 6 accounts, so you obviously aren't seeing everything that I'm running. And I will idle a little bit at some points, right? Like it's not like gonna be super long, but if I like go idle in the field, for example, that's because maybe I'm focused on the other side of the map because they do have like an account running over there and stuff. And I will say honestly, the hardest thing about this, like when it comes down to my accounts, is that since I have so many much, I wouldn't say strong, but stronger within my alliance, right? Stronger accounts within my alliance, it's much harder to split up. So if I wanted to split 3 and 3, for example, one side of the map and the other side of the map, I would just be so distracted that I would idle too much in battles. Whereas I need to usually run in a unified, coordinated group, meaning that my alliance has to be strong enough to dominate their side of the map without me having like a ton of T6 over there or something, right? Because obviously I am the main force of our fighter group. I have a lot of our T6 kind of accounts that generally fight, so you also will see how I kind of organize them, and we kind of do pushes. And obviously this isn't only me, we do have actually other players fighting with us up here, so don't think that it's only me fighting up here. But for example, I try to hold down one side of the map by myself, so I'll organize for zombies because I can coordinate perfectly between my accounts. I'll try to organize defending the the outpost, and then I'll also try to fight over mid, and I'll kind of go between those things. And if I'm given enough wiggle room, I'll go on the offensive. I'm not great at running rallies just because I'm always so busy on this, the kind of field control. And one thing I also face as an issue is, for example, you will see it later, but when I go up to their helipad, for example, I'm so focused on fighting that I don't have time to kind of refresh my marches. Whereas a normal player would be like, okay, let me just tab real quick, send a march, I go back into my focus all. Whereas if I go out of my focus all for 1 second to send a march, I might be giving up multiple seconds of me fighting on the field, so I will actively stay focused on fighting because, obviously I'm dealing with, 5 accounts on this side of the field, right? Which means that all it takes is one account killing a march and then me idling for a second or two, and then I'm missing out on skill damage, etc. Literally seconds like that make a big difference in a battle like this, and I just try to delay them as long as possible because in this fight we are kind of at an advantage when it comes down to points and stuff. We are dominating on this side of the map, and I will say ROA is actually an amazing opponent. I fought Region 5 multiple times. I fought NWO. They had like a 10 freaking win streak, and I don't know how we won. I think we only won because we actually a Big Daddy here. And I will say that's actually a lot of our victories are actually definitely because of Big Daddy, because he's able to be such an impact on the other side of the map, and that's what we really need here. Just kind of a one-man whale who's able to do whatever he wants. Like he'll just be able to swarm operation bases. He'll be able to kind of just go to their helipad and hold them down for multiple minutes by himself. It's such a massive like help, And honestly, my team's good at what they do. I will say, like, I think that my team's generally pretty well. And might have actually been one of my better Pompeis when it came down to my organization personally, right? Or not organization, but when it came down to me being objective, because I will say, like, sometimes I can get distracted on random fights that I shouldn't be kind of focusing on and stuff, and I won't be as objective. Like I won't be focusing as much on zombies as I need to. I won't be focused on making sure we keep our I generally am actually with like our operation bases, or I'm not going up mid to fight enough when I need to for like the obviously vials, so we have such a big point advantage and stuff. And overall, these are things that I kind of work on because I used to try to just leave zombies up to other people, and what I would normally do is, like, right off the bat I would instantly charge up to the operation base, and I would normally ignore something like zombies, which would be really a stupid move on my part. But I kind of came to the mindset of, oh, if I can take this operation base, I can generally hold it long enough to make up for any points that I'm losing out over here. And it's really just a gamble because honestly, if I'm not strong enough to drop it in time, or they're just willing to kind of swarm over and just leave a few people behind on zombies, it would just put us behind on points, and we would still win in a lot of these cases. But it was such a stupid thing where I'm like not playing objectively enough, and it's something I talk about so much that people need to do, whereas I'm over here not doing it, when I really need to. So I have been working on that. I've been doing better at that. And as you see here, we are obviously kind of dominating this side for zombies. I know the other side was like struggling more so because, like like they just have a lot less T6 presence, and Big Daddy isn't able to do everything, right? And he's either able to swarm an operation base, or he's focused on zombies or something. And even then, it's not like he's completely wiping out the field. He just has more of an impact swarming stuff down, if I'm going to be honest, because his damage output is just so insane. Whereas, he is still useful in the field, like, but not to the point where he's going to drain the whole enemy team, right? It's more so he's going to hold them down for multiple minutes in one place, trying to take them off the field, and then he just comes back and repeats that process. Whereas then he's not really creating it. I would say he's not creating as much of an impact, but he's still being very impactful as a singular player, because we did have this one instance where, normally we are able to just kind of rely on him and crutch on him pretty hard. But then we fought a team that also had a whale, and we kind of, we still performed well, I would say, but they ended up beating us by, I think, like 5 to 10K points or something. I can't even remember how much it was, but we just were outclassed there. They were just a better group, and honestly, big bravo there. But this just kind of is a big example of how big kind of whale power really matters. And I know I'm just talking about me a lot. I just wanted to kind of explain what I normally face when doing this stuff, but I also want to talk about ROA. ROA is a really good group to kind of fight against. I would say the same about NWO. ROA was super objective. They made it really hard for us because honestly, my plan was after, for example, the vials of mid, we were going to focus on their operation base because, we generally were able to clear out the field, but they would instantly just be ready and go towards our operation base. And this would force us to kind of go on the defensive instead of going on the offensive. And then by the time that we finally had enough time to potentially go after, let's say, their operation base, the zombies would open up. And then we were like, okay, well, now we got to focus on the zombies. So they were actually doing a really good job at tying our hands down, right? Tying us down and stuff, and just making us extremely distracted and unable to play as freely as we would have liked to. And, these guys had unlimited freaking troops, man. Like I said, though, these teams are always some of my favorite. Like Region 5 groups are actually really great. Like I'm not trying to glaze these guys right now, but they're actually such good opponents. I can't even overstate that. It's like honestly always great to fight them because, I don't like steamrolls or anything. And honestly, I've had a lot more closer encounters a lot more recently with teams, right? Whereas like most of the teams I'm fighting are around like an 8 billion rating. So honestly, like I swear the rating's been extremely close. Like all the fights have been pretty intense for the last few months, which is absolutely surprising because I used to get a lot where it was one-sided or lopsided on the enemy team or lopsided on our side, and we would just steamroll the enemy. Whereas that's generally not the case, and it's even if it's like a semi steamroll, the teams are on a similar playing scale, and it usually comes down to okay, this team as well, or this team it just has better coordination, right? So honestly, I've just had a lot better stuff going on in that regard. And overall, I feel like Prime is a pretty good group. I'm not trying to like be like, oh yeah, we're the best group ever, but I do think our group's generally pretty good when it comes down to stuff like this. We do have pretty good organization. Everybody knows their roles and stuff. And I mean, that should be something that, you enforce within your alliance. But there's a lot of teams that obviously don't have this. They're not as organized. They're not as not everybody knows their roles. Not everybody knows to reinforce, right? Because we used to have a really big issue where everybody wanted to field fight, and then we would lose our operation bases way too often because nobody would fill stuff. And now we got our T3 or T4 players, more self-filling stuff, for example, filling like operation bases and stuff, making everything much smoother because everybody has a role on the battlefield. You aren't having as much of an impact. You aren't, getting as many points by just running on the field as like a T3 player, right? Whereas if you were in an operation base, you're having much more of an impact. You're getting so many more points, and you're just doing so much more for your team as an individual by doing that kind of stuff. So overall, you are helping your team more by doing this type of stuff, and it just takes a lot of load off our shoulders, knowing that the operation base is actually full. You actually do see Big Daddy here, kind of came down here to help us swarm out this operation base finally. And I just had my other accounts kind of running this, and then I had my Pandy account helping him swarm it. And then he just ran off. I don't even know. This guy's like freaking White Knight over here. But this is awesome. This was a great battle. Honestly, just had a lot of fun. I don't think there's a whole lot for me to say anymore in that regard. These guys just had infinite troops. I will say like the kill ratio was insane. Because I think it was like 18 million kills from ROA, and then we got like 53 million kills. But that just tells you how hard these guys are fighting. Even if they weren't trading insanely well, these guys were nonstop on the field. And obviously, any team can do that because it's Pompeii and you're not having to yield. But it's really hard to put out pressure like this and manage to kind of maintain your ground for as long as you do. Because they just weren't giving us room. Right? I would have loved to swarm out this helipad. They were just swarming the field so much that no matter what I did, they were just going to kill all my marches if I try to focus on helipad. And overall, like I said, great fight. Had a ton of fun. I hope you guys had fun watching this video. I am going to end off my commentary here. I do appreciate you guys for watching as always. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. You guys let me know if you guys like the split screen or if you would just prefer me to use one screen. I just think that maybe this is a little bit interesting for some videos at least, even if it's not all of them, just to see this like kind of perspective of mine. Plus, it is sometimes harder for me to record in the middle of combat when I'm using one screen because, obviously I'm so focused on, doing so many things on all my accounts that I'll idle a lot and then it'll just make the like footage look more boring. That being said, I do appreciate you guys though. Hope you guys have a great day or night though. And I will see you guys in the next one. And that is about it. Peace out.